Hello and welcome back to Hearthstone Grandmasters for the Asia Pacific region. We're almost done here with our second day of the week. We've just got one more match to bring you between blitzchung and Shaxy as a kind of culmination of all the many rogue decks that we've seen over this week so far. We have a rogue mirror to tie things out. Pretty standard lists on both sides, it looks like. blitzchung here, I guess the biggest thing being only one Spirit of the Shark. Have you seen that all too much before?
Not really. It seems like people are either preferring to play them both or neither. Yeah. So seeing only one of them is kind of a new inclusion. I know that before the nerfs with preparation and the raiding parties and the miscreant, there was a lot of lists that only had one Spirit of the Shark back then in the raiding party lists, but now with the new list, it's very normal for them to play two sharks. So seeing one shark is definitely a bit different.
It is indeed, but other than that, it looks relatively standard. For Shaxy, however, it seems like a lot more of a clean list actually, just all 2-of cards except for the legendaries in the deck. This is kind of the most standard Shark Rogue that it's possible to have, really. Not all too much early game, instead favoring a much more powerful mid game and closing things out with a Waggle Pick Leroy combo.
Yeah, this is pretty much standard rogue. Yeah, standard temp rogue. This is exactly what it is. Yeah. It's just a rogue mirror, Derek.
It's just rogue. It's just rogue here for Shaxy. And I mean, he's clearly been doing something very right. And I personally am a big fan of the style of decks where you do just have 2 of all the good cards, right? Like, there's a reason why you have 2 of them. It's because they're good. You want to hit those cards as often as possible, unless you've got the tech cards that you're looking to hit. But you don't really need any tech cards in rogue because it's just super powerful. Is that really Shaxy's Twitter handle? That's a pretty crazy Twitter handle. @HunterAceHS.
We just got confirmation that it is.
That it is. Wow. Oh, that's his Facebook. I guess he doesn't have Twitter. But either way.
I guess it's not. Bait it again.
We're getting trolled left, right, and center. But this should be a pretty interesting matchup. I think primarily in the primary match, just to see how the players are approaching the matchup in general. In the secondary, the second and third matches, though, with the secondary and tertiary decks, I think is where this could get a little bit more interesting, because it looks like these players have sideboarded quite differently. blitzchung going with an anti-mage and an anti-warrior sideboard. Shaxy, I guess, going with an anti-mage list as well, with sap, underbelly fences, and snip snaps, but yeah, it's kind of an unconventional anti-mage list.
I would assume that both players will most likely stick to their primary decks.
I think so.
For the second matchup. So we see in the early game here, blitzchung, fortunate, on the coin. Very big part of this matchup. Not gonna lie. Together with the miscreant, looking in a good position already.
Even when it only has 4 health?
Yes.
Still pretty good, it turns out.
It's okay.
Okay.
So he's Shaxy's just trying to.
Shaxy's hand sucks. We can say it.
He's trying to get playable cards.
Yes. This hand is terrible. Like, blitzchung is quite clearly quite far in the lead at this point already. Shaxy could get some pretty nutty draws to turn this around, because Shadow Step, we know what Shadow Step can do. It can be very powerful indeed, especially if he finds the Spirit of the Shark to combo with some of those cheaper cards. But as it currently stands, is blitzchung in the lead. Wow. Okay, well that's not it.
Yeah, we also hear that blitzchung deciding to shadow step the miscreant. So Shaxy, if he potentially had a backstab, couldn't use the backstab as a combo activator and also potentially kill the miscreant. So blitzchung just saving up for a bunch of value. Going wide with Lackeys isn't a big punisher, because neither of the players run Sea Giants in their deck, so they can't come back like that. A lot of the time in a rogue mirror, both players go very wide, and cards like Sea Giant could matter a lot in those situations.
I mean, this is the classic punish for rogue, right? Is you just go super wide with your lackeys. This is why miscreant is so powerful in the deck. And then they have pretty much no comeback.
Yeah. So I'm currently looking at Shaxy's position there, and I'm feeling waggle pick face.
You think he's on an all-face plan?
Yes. He didn't go face.
Do you not like this play?
I would went face.
You would have went face. I can't even tell. I can't even tell if you're trolling anymore.
No, I actually like legit. We had a lot of damage. I can't count right now, but he would have gone out to 20.
Yeah.
Then we have the life drinker at 17. Then the upcoming turn after that, we have the shark plus the life drinker, which goes down to 11.
Yeah.
And then we shadow step the life drinker, and then we have the life drinker plus the life drinker. And if blitzchung had no heal, that would theoretically be a 3 turn. Or 4 turn, I don't know.
Why not? I mean,
Wouldn't
it's definitely something to consider.
It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work though. Yeah, he's just sloping a bit. He could potentially do that later also. It's just a bit slower like this. He could use this first waggle pick to trade off a bit and keep himself contested on the board, and then with the second waggle pick, he can decide to go in with the burn plan. Because I don't think he ever wins the board plan with the pan out where blitzchung just had all the lackeys.
Yeah, I mean, in order to win the board plan, I think he's pretty much all in on blitzchung going super wide, and then he generates either Blade Flurry, Fan of Knives, or Vanish. Just basically one of the rogue AoEs to clear things up. But well, speaking of Blade Flurry, blitzchung has his own for if Shaxy does manage to go wide on the board. But Shaxy is clearly trying to win the board control plan. He doesn't think that he can get a victory just by pushing everything face.
Actually, interestingly enough, with the SI top deck, he had an additional 4 each with the free turn I was talking about.
That's true. Shaxy would have had a life drink, it's worth saying, and very possibly would have picked up some way to bounce it, like this waggle pick, however.
Yeah.
But I see your point. I mean, honestly, I think it's more likely that Shaxy wins through that way than through the board control plan.
I think so too. Maybe. Also, it's just I don't know. It's pretty ambitious to go for that already that turn, but I don't know. When my opponent plays
Coin miscreant,
step miscreant, and I don't have any place.
That's you're a face gamer then.
I'm a face gamer then, yeah. Especially when I see potential free turns. I don't know. But I don't think it would have panned out.
Never 3 turns.
Was it 3 turns? So you go whack. No, it's 4 turns,
It
right?
was 4 turns, yeah.
It was 4 turns. Yeah, it's 4 turns.
Which is still pretty nutty. Like, if you can kill
Does
your opponent in
4 turns get you there? You have life drinker to heal you up all of the time. You get a bunch of heal up. I mean, not a bunch. You get 9 heal up. You probably still lose, to be honest. I imagine that blitzchung can do stuff that manages to win. But Shaxy just fighting for the board here, and blitzchung has also pretty aggressive hand, so he's not that good at fighting for the board here. I think blitzchung also kind of wants to take this very aggressively now, but he also wants to clear up this life drinker. How much damage does he even have here? This is like infinite damage almost there.
Yeah, this is actually kind of absurd now.
2, 2, 2,
So
4, 4.
He probably
6.
tries to bounce one of the other lackeys, right? Like, value off the spell at this point isn't really what he's looking for.
Yeah,
just
maybe he
wants
just
damage.
wants to bounce the
life drinker.
the life drinker or the kobold lackey potentially. He's just deciding to hold on to all of this stuff.
I mean, this sets up very possibly lethal on the next turn, because even if everything is cleared, it's 14 damage. Actually, it's if everything is cleared and there's no heal, it's just lethal, right? Because it's kobold lackey, bounce it back, 0 mana lackey, Leroy for lethal. So Shaxy has to both clear and heal and take no damage on this turn. And I'm not gonna lie, that seems impossible. Agreed, Caspi.
Yeah, this doesn't work out for Shaxy at all. It's just sometimes the snowballiness of the coin miscreant versus a hand that doesn't really do too much. And I don't know if my fantasy line of going for the 4th turn ever works. It was probably just a rough scenario here for Shaxy where it just doesn't work out for him. Blitzchung with having all the different stuff, and I assume he's going to spot the lethal here.
Here we go. Yeah, this is blitzchung's forte, one of the premier aggro players, in my opinion, from the Asia-Pacific region. He ain't never missing a Leroy lethal. As, you know, this game went pretty much as expected, Shaxy.
Yeah.
Throwing out a pretty big yawn there. Agreed, for him that was relatively resident sleeper. I think, you know, the only real consideration, like you said, was the turn 4 go face plan. Because it's basically gambling, is my opponent more likely to never draw Life Drinker and not represent full turn
it's
lethal?
also Celiax, it's the only Life Drinker.
Okay, okay.
And there's also counter lethal potential, so
Okay.
yeah. It's a lot.
But even with all that considered, is that more likely than seizing back board control when your hand is double waggle pick, Life Drinker, like Shadow Steps? Like, it was just terrible. His hand was nothing.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, Derek.
I'm not sure either.
But we see that the power of the coin in the miscreant in the Rogmer, and we'll see if it changes up for the next games with maybe Shaxy can make a comeback. Maybe he's on the coin next game.
Yes, Gasper, maybe he's on the coin next game. I mean, you know, there are still a lot of lines that could be considered there because it was kind of a weird pan out in that game because Shaxy was actually almost about to take back board control in that game, but the reason for that was that blitzchung had a load of the kobold lackeys, whereas if he'd got a bunch of the faceless lackeys or witchy lackeys, he would have gone for board control instead, which meant Shaxy would never have come close to seizing back board control.
Yeah, it was just a very difficult situation with Shaxy there. No matter what lackeys, I feel that blitzchung could have just taken different lines, and with the hand pan out that blitzchung had, I think it just correct for him to go for the lethals there, and I think he just played it out the best as he could. He even played around the potential of backstab SI on turn 3 against the miscreant and shadow stepping it, which I think was very good recognition of the situation, being very solid there. And yeah, not much Shaxy can do there really. It was just how the pan out works out.
Yeah,
sometimes.
just one of those games where it doesn't really work in his favor at all. It can happen with Rogue. It can happen with any deck in Hearthstone. That's kind of why these are the tier 1 decks in Hearthstone, because when they hit the powerhouse curves, you very much struggle to beat them. It can feel that way when when Mage goes for the perfect Giant Conjurer's Calling open and you have no chance at all against them. But I imagine for this next game, both players are probably going to be sticking with their primary deck list. We'll get confirmation of that fairly soon, as they both seem to have an anti-warrior and an anti-mage sideboard. They've gone about that very differently on both sides, with there being Togwaggle Scheme and Geppetto Joyboz slotted in for Shaxy, as, there we go, confirmation they're sticking with the same decks. And for blitzchung, a slightly more standard Ken, Mojo Master, Brawl the Shark as well, to fight back against the Warriors.
And a Mojo Master C, which is
pretty cool. It's pretty good versus Warrior, I think.
Yeah, it's a cool inclusion for sure. I've never really seen it in play, so I would have been interested to see that, but we don't see that today versus Shaxy. So we'll just see the primary face-off against each other again. See if we'll see a closer game. Shaxy's on the coin this time.
Hey, that's definitely going to help. Ooh, that's an interesting mulligan he makes right off the gate. Do we like keeping Spirit of the Shark? That's a card that I see thrown away a lot more often than not in Rogue.
His idea here is that the backstab together with the SI is enough for him to deal with the early game aggression from blitzchung. So he thinks that having the Spirit of the Shark to back that up is just an extremely strong hand in general, and I definitely see where he's coming from. I don't mind that keep at all. I think it's a very good free keep. I don't think he would have kept the Spirit of the Shark alone necessarily, but together with the backstab and SI already is just very good. And now together with the Novice and the Miscreant, he is also getting some more value off that Spirit of the Shark.
Huge amounts of value now available to Shaxy. I feel like I need to fit in a couple of huge draws or huge amounts of value in honor of Admirable this weekend.
Yeah, and you think we will go to our 5th game free of the day?
I think it's looking likely at the moment. I'm sorry to tell you, Casper.
That's how it is.
It's a longer day for you.
It's a long day. Shaxy has the decision. He could go coin miscreant. He could also just go hero power and slow play it a bit. That's probably what I would have leaned towards personally. Just hero power and hit it, and then next turn, depending on what blitzchung does, you can decide whether or not to miscreant or not.
When I play Rogue, I'm just like, I'm such a close my eyes kind of approach. Like I just coin miscreant every time. Like even though I know it's not the best play a lot of the time, it just, I know it's good and I know it can't be that bad. However, this is going to be pretty absurd.
So, does blitzchung have the 4-turn leave?
No, as it currently stands. Myra's could turn this around, obviously, yeah. But no is the answer.
Shaxy is going for the, hoping for the faceless lackey.
Yeah.
Got a bunch of them.
Got him.
Got him. I don't think he needed all of them. I think we just needed one of them. But yeah.
I mean, it's like Boston's situation, right, in EU, where you got like 4 faceless lackeys. It's the only combination of 4 that lost him the game.
I didn't watch that. I don't remember exactly.
It was unlucky.
It was unlucky. Blitzchung here going. Sending a bunch of minions too. If blitzchung would have had Sea Giant, he would have, interesting enough, had that for 0 mana here.
Just slotting in your version of Rogue as the best one.
No, I'm just
just commenting.
Just commenting, Darren. That's what I'm doing. Commenting the game. So Shaxy just trying to get board control again, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what both players are trying to do, right? And blitzchung is doing it, I think, more impressively than we were expecting, especially as he has the possibility of Togwaggle next turn. But I think Shaxy will definitely realize that that's a possibility and get rid of that faceless lackey.
Yeah.
This guy's toast.
And I think blitzchung is a pretty hard position right here. Not sure why we played that one. Yeah. I like playing this one also. And he gets the Cobra. Ooh. That works nicely together with the Scavenging Hyena.
Yes, that is the primary upside of the Emperor Cobra here.
Yes. Even forces the sap from blitzchung. That's how powerful it is.
As blitzchung still feeling the need to go for board control here rather than pushing everything face. I mean,
he played this very fast. I would probably already start to count, but what blitzchung is basically saying here is that he wants to go for the Togwaggle play next turn, and he sees his comeback being through the Togwaggle.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And not towards the lethal, because he doesn't really have any lethal outs.
Yeah,
as far as I know.
If you need a miracle situation to pull you back in the game, Togwaggle is often the card to do that.
It is a pretty good turnout. He can do a lot of stuff. He could potentially backstab the Togwaggle. Okay, we could also backstab that.
Well, you could have gone double activation with Cobalt Lackey on the Togwaggle. Right?
We could also hit the Togwaggle.
That's a little bit scary, I think. But I guess he has to tank the damage from the Togwaggle anyway this way.
Yeah. I would have liked to hit the Togwaggle, I think.
Yeah, I think you might be right. You just clear off more stuff, right?
Also, consider not to hit the Togwaggle. Blitzchung is clearly behind here, so he might be going for a potential Leroy out of the Wondrous one into lethal. I think that if he gets Leroy into Eviscerate, into more potentially, it would be lethal.
It would be pretty good, I agree.
Yeah.
Speaking of pretty good,
they are both doing a lot of
Henge Clan Burglar.
They're all both doing a lot of broken stuff here. developing on the board.
Oh, yes.
Holy fire.
Ooh. Is it ever swipe? Are you ever afraid of a wide board, or do you just want the heal with the damage?
Life Forge Blessing.
Life Forge Blessing
and Vaporize.
is insane here. That's the Giganuts.
So we could potentially get lethal there if he manages to pick up Leroy, Eviscerate.
Is that even lethal?
Yes. Right? Isn't it? Yeah, it would be lethal.
16, 20. Yeah, it would be just about lethal. Okay.
He had it out. So if he manages to pick up the Frost Nova here from the Henchclan Burglar, he could still be in a good position.
Fair enough.
He could develop a pretty big board together with the Frost Nova.
Yeah.
To board lock his opponent.
I mean, that's the out at the moment, right?
Yeah. I guess we're going for another bounce on the Henchclan Burglar after this. Ooh, and we hit
lightning.
Shield.
No, shield block. Yeah.
None of these really make the cut, so I think we have to reroll it again for the Frost Nova.
It's always the board lock. You always board lock your opponent.
It's always the board lock. I'm not sure what Blink Fox can actually get.
Oh?
I'm not sure what Pilfer. What can I even get?
You just go again.
I don't even think the
Blade Flurry?
Oh, Blade Flurry. Yes, Blade.
Yes.
Exactly it.
Not good enough anymore, as the amount of damage that blitzchung is going to take, I think, just closes out the game.
I have no clue. I assume it will there.
I mean, he's got... Yeah, like Life Drinker, Step Life Drinker, that's 12 extra burst damage. Or
Also
there's the Leroy. Whatever. There's a billion damage here. Shaxy could win this in 12 ways to Sunday. Yeah. Even board locks his opponent with the...
Another very fast game of Rogue Mirror. Just both players doing a lot of different stuff with their Spirit of the Sharks and something a big board. And Shaxy managing to take it.
Yeah, I think for blitzchung, the real meat game plan that maybe almost clawed him back in was going for the Togwaggle, which I think I liked. The way he executed the turn, I'm not quite so sure on, because maybe he should have swung with the Waggle pick in order to kill off the Togwaggle. But like you said, if he was going for an out of 0 mana Leroy, like he might have been in that bad of a position where he had to go for that kind of an out to have any chance at all of winning the game. So I can totally understand his reasoning for holding back there, and I do like the play of going for the Wondrous Wand, because I think that was one of his only ways back into the game.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't mind that play at all, but there was some consideration there of clearing the Togwaggle and going for more of a board game plan, but you're so behind, and Shaxy had so many different cards, so it's just very unlikely that he doesn't get on board again. So I think blitzchung just saw his only way of winning that game to get a very fortunate outcome from the treasure and get the counter lethal there. And it was very unlikely to turn out well for him, and it didn't turn out well for him, so we're 1-1 now.
We are, and also on Shaxy's side, it's something that I really do want to focus on, which I find super interesting with Mage, the Rogue theory in general, was both the keep and the play of Spirit of the Shark, because he kept it in his starting hand, which is not something I see all that often in Rogue, if I'm perfectly honest. And he played it with the coin on turn 3 to set up for a Miscreant, which looked super powerful. Like in general, is that something that you like moving towards, and that they should both be looking to find in the mulligan early on?
It's very dependent on the hand they have. With Shaxy's hand in particular, with the backstab and SI, I definitely see why he came to that conclusion, because with the SI and the backstab, he is so good in the early game that if he ever picks up the Miscreant, the Cable Rat, or the Novice, he will always have time to play the Spirit of the Shark after the backstab SI. Yeah. So it just gets a lot of value. So I think that was a very good decision by Shaxy keeping that hand.
I think I can definitely understand. For blitzchung on the other side, he obviously only has one Spirit of the Shark. So I'm really kind of just trying to look through and figure out what is blitzchung's big advantage over his opponent, or really who is favored overall, because in both the games we've seen so far, it's really looked pretty even, as the only real difference, I guess, is the Ziliax over one of the Spirit of the Sharks for blitzchung there, and one Novice Engineer instead of 2. Oh no, wait, they both have Ziliax anyway, so I guess that's not even the difference, as they are both sticking on the primary. It's super close. They're basically running the same deck. Yeah,
it's essentially just a mirror match. The tech inclusions that are differing is just just small details that are very situational. They're nothing. It's not nothing about the core, which is all the miscreant stuff and the general rogue game plan, right? And they all have that very similar. So I think it's based on deck-wise, it's a literal 50-50. It's the exact same deck, basically.
It is indeed. And I guess then my next question would be, with you having innovated with the Water Rogue, is this your favorite version of the Rogue at the moment? Do you like something more aggressive with more weapon damage early on, maybe like Patra's deck we saw, or do you just like the Sea Giant version of Rogue the most?
I haven't played that much Rogue lately, but I like to play the Sea Giant version a lot, but I know that all of the versions are very strong, and no matter what, no matter how you end up playing the last cards, they're not the main cards of the deck anyways. It's the general theme of Rogue, but I really like the list that, for example, Fino brought this week.
Yeah.
But I can definitely see the reason to cut them and play other cards like Avistra instead of them that we see both Shaxy and blitzchung have in their decks.
Pretty reasonable hand for both players here. Shaxy, having found the Spirit of the Shark in combination with the Cable Rat that you were talking about, looks like it could be pretty powerful, especially if Shaxy wants to Shadow Step the Cable Rat back to prepare for a pretty powerful Spirit of the Shark play on turn 4. And I think I like this.
That is what he's going for. He's already moving towards his Spirit of the Shark win condition.
It's not even just a Spirit of the Shark wing condition, it's like a Togwaggle wing condition as well, because generating all these lackeys means he has the ability to play them out aggressively and still save them.
I guess it's just a lackey win condition, right? Right. Yeah, it's just a lackey win condition. So, question there becomes if he wants to play out the SI7 agent, there's some positives with doing it, but there's also some negatives, because you activate or you make your opponent's backstab very, very, very strong, and also able to activate combos via the backstab, which could be potentially bad for you. But I think that he will decide to play it.
I think it's close, right? Because whether you save the Faceless Lackey here or the SI7 agent, both of them are pretty good on turn 5 after the Spirit of the Shark has come down. But I think, like you said, if your opponent doesn't have the backstab, even though it is very good for them, if they don't have it, it can be pretty nuts here.
Vanish is
We've finally seen the Vanish.
Spicy card again. Something you never play around, but here it is.
When it's there, whew, it can be pretty good.
Yeah, especially with the type of game plan that I think Shaxy will go for in this game now. He will probably spread very wide with the lackeys coming on.
Interesting choice now by Shaxy to actually play out the evil Cable Rat, which could have been saved until the next turn, considering it costs 0 mana to rush in with a Goblin Lackey or evolve with a Witchy Lackey. I'm not sure if I like playing it out there. Like, it just dies to the dagger.
Now that you mention it, I don't really like it either. It just feels like a waste.
Yeah. Like, that could be a 3-drop if there were, in theory, a Witchy Lackey had been found. Ooh. Is it the rare self SI7 agent?
No.
Oh, you never let me have fun.
Is it always head crack? Never head crack.
Or daring escape there? The value line?
More value. Okay, so I think we're always supposed to shadow step one of our lackeys and not play them to guarantee the Togwaggle for next turn, because I think that with tempo already on board and being able to guarantee your Togwaggle is just I'm confused there. Anyways. I guess that makes some sense. I still think that we should always see the shadow step on the
yes, because you could even have got an extra lackey, right? Or an extra scarab, if that's what Shaxy was really looking to do.
Yes, you could have literally got an extra scarab, and I guess at that point he's bored locked. So you can't always do it.
I mean, this play just seemed kind of suboptimal from Shaxy, but whether he was trying to go for the Togwaggle plan or not.
Shaxy does seem a bit stressed out. He has a bunch of minions on board though. I don't know what's happening. I guess this is just solid too, but I think that guaranteeing your Togwaggle seems good. Yeah, I would have.
I think I agree.
I don't- the Shadow Step doesn't get that much value, right? Just
Right.
saving it, I think. So I would like him to do that.
Especially as like you just get another spell right, or you get another minion on board with the Faceless Lackey. Those are really powerful cards to play with the Shadow
I
Step.
guess that he's just a bit afraid of his opponent sticking.
Yeah. And it works out reasonably well for him anyway.
Oh, now the Togwaggle's 5 mana. What is happening?
He's bringing you flashbacks to the Raza Priest days, the 5 mana 5/5 with a huge conditional upside. No.
So much worse.
Sorry for insulting the name of Raza Priest.
Actually insulting, Derek. Imagine comparing this.
Well, imagine playing a 5 mana 5/5 that gives you a spell that draws 3 cards from your deck and makes them cost 0.
Not comparable.
Fair enough.
So, blitzchung looking in a pretty poor position here.
Looking in a very poor position, I would say.
I feel like the shark game plan for Shaxy and in general just generating a bunch of lackeys has worked out so well. And we also see, I guess, this one of the small differences with the decks, with Shaxy actually running 2 sharks and blitzchung only running 1 shark. Mattering a bit because the sharks seem very strong here. I feel like they're Shadow Stepping now.
We're even seeing Shadow Step the Togwaggle. What is it with players and Shadow Stepping Togwaggle? I so rarely like this play. I don't know. I feel like, I mean, I guess Shaxy still develops a huge amount of board control. It's fine.
There's the Vanish.
It's the Vanish, which is the punish for this line of play, I guess. It's still fine.
Punished. Yeah, I guess we have to pull the trigger on the Vanish now. We could also potentially go for the Sap play. I think that in blitzchung's position now is in a very bad position. So he has to figure out, how do we win? Do you know how blitzchung wins?
Face is the place. After a Vanish, obviously, to not die. Or a Sap. I guess could he get away with Sap? That doesn't sound particularly good. You tell me, Hunter Ace, what is his win condition?
There was a reason I asked you. I didn't know myself either. But it's definitely somehow dealing with this Edwin this turn because we can't afford to take that damage.
Yep. I don't think that gets him there, though. To be perfectly honest, I think Shaxy is just pretty happily running away with this game.
Yeah, and we see that blitzchung is already
This guy's
pushing towards the face. I think if blitzchung had the waggle pick that turn, there might have been an out with potentially having the waggle pick activated for multiple turns and together with the Vanish and the Lyra follow-up, it could get there. But I think Shaxy just has too much pressure here, so unless Shaxy goes for a total board development play and doesn't respect the Vanish at all, I think he's in a good spot.
I think so too.
Handcon Barrier is such a sick card.
It's insane.
It just discovers so much random nonsense from one other. Just nonsense.
And it's clearly making you lose your mind.
I'm actually losing my mind, yeah.
I just imagine your brain is like right now, half trying to analyze a crazy game of rogue generating random spells and half dreading having to play a warrior mirror in about an hour's time.
So many options.
Something like that, yeah. Yeah, so blitzchung, not looking good.
It's really not looking good for him. His win condition, quote unquote, at this point,
So many
if he goes face, he's facing down lethal. That
Yeah.
gives nothing. Vanish gives him nothing. He just throws it down. Shaxy
That's it.
bringing himself up to 8-1. The current second best record in Grandmasters, just lagging behind Fino, the unbeatable Wunderkind, at 9-0. But still a super respectable scoreline and very much in the lead in Division B.
Yes, and in a very good spot now for qualifying for the playoffs.
Pretty much
Almost
guaranteed.
guaranteed at this point, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
all but guaranteed.
and also blitzchung with a very hard loss for him there, going down to 3-6. Not a very good score, and it's going to be very hard for him now to get into playoffs. He has to really fight back in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, Asia Pacific Division B is a bit of a weird one because it's like it's super polarized as opposed to some of the divisions in like Europe, for example, where there's a lot of players floating around the middle. This time it's you know, some players doing very, very well, some players doing very, very poorly, which means you know you need that very, very high scoreline in order to be advancing through to the playoffs, which means blitzchung at a 3-6 record is definitely going to be struggling to do so, I would say. As we can take a look at today's results. A bit of a diverse set of results, with Rogue taking a decent amount of wins, but overall only taking one win that wasn't in the mirror, not looking as strong as expected, I don't think.
A lot of close matches though. Everything
Very
ended 2-1. So a long day, even though we saw only one warrior. Yeah, Rogue performing pretty well, I would say. It was just a lot of close matches and a lot of matches decided by very close decisions that could have went either side, but small decisions ended up mattering a lot towards the end.
I would agree. I think I'm sad to see that the mage for Alutemu didn't get there. He's still an 8-2 record, which I'm happy for him about. And obviously, I'm never sad to see Surrender doing well, bringing himself actually up to second, which is much more respectable after his 1-3 start to Grandmasters.
Yes. Looking good for Surrender also, in a prime position to potentially take the second or the third place in the Division A.
Oh yes. And then on the other side, Patra unfortunately unable to take a win today. But playing again tomorrow, this could be her chance to start turning things around. And then Shaxy right up at the top, 8-1, pretty much guaranteed. And as we saw there in the middle, Dawn taking a pretty nice win as well to go up to 7-2. In with again, a pretty good chance of advancing through to playoffs. I like that we're getting to that point now in Grandmasters, having almost completed week 5, where we're getting a really good shot at who is likely to advance through to the playoffs, who is lagging behind. It's getting down to crunch time now, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure.
And then in the middle, Tyler and Blood Trail still, I think, in with a chance of getting through to playoffs, Tyler in particular. But I think Tyler, considering how well we know he can play, I think he's going to have to step up a little bit in terms of his gameplay. There are a couple of things that we weren't quite happy with in terms of his gameplay yesterday, but tomorrow his chance
also
for
the
redemption.
Division B there is looking kind of set now. It's going to be very scary for Tyler, for example, at 5-4 now to fight back, because there's 3 players at 7 wins or better. So he has to basically win out at this point to be in a good enough position, I think.
That's true. Most of these players still have 7 matchups left, though, with obviously the 1 left this week, and then 3 more weeks of Grandmasters, 2 matches each week. But that is, I believe, going to be us pretty much all done today. We're going to let you have...
all done today?
For Asia Pacific, I will add the addendum there. We still have Europe and Americas left to come, which means I'm going to let you, poor Casper, have a little rest for half an hour or something before you are going to be playing in our first match of Europe up against Orange, Mr. Jon Westberg, I believe, in a Warrior Mirror. What are your thoughts about heading into that one, Casper?
I don't know, dude. It's gonna be cool, I think. I'm pretty tired, and hopefully it won't be too long.
There you have it. Another very exciting series of Hearthstone coming up right after a short break as we send you over for Europe. Thanks for watching, guys.